Welcome back to the She Inspires podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Jade, board certified family medicine physician, wellness and weight loss specialist, owner of the membership medical practice in Las Vegas, Inspire Primary Care. And I am so excited to be back. All right, we are talking about something a little different today, but I've been getting lots of questions about it. So I'm going to share as you ask. And that is my journey of becoming a homeschool mom. My journey of becoming a homeschool mom. This has become an interesting topic because, y'all, I did not in a million years expect to become a homeschool family and a homeschool mom. But because we have, I've shared about it. I recently spoke at a conference, Hint Summit, in, where were we? In Denver? Yes, in Denver. And I mentioned on there that we have become a homeschool family. And when I tell you, I have gotten so many questions about how are you doing that? How are you balancing it? Why did you decide to homeschool? I've gotten some really good questions. So I figured it would be helpful for me to just shoot an episode about it, share my journey of becoming a homeschool mom and us becoming a homeschool family, just to share that it may look different. It may be a good option for you or your family. It may not be the right option for you and your family. So I wanted to share what that's looked like for us, and any additional questions you have, let me know. And of course, I will try to address all of the questions we've been asked or I've been asked behind the scenes and in the DMs. All right. So first of all, let's start with why. I always like to start with why, because there has to be a why to this thing. We didn't just select homeschool out of nowhere. So, okay, for us, there were several different things that I was thinking about. Of course, all of us want our children to get a quality education. I was no different. In Las Vegas, we historically have been like the 49th school district in the country, like the lowest, basically. And so, of course, I'm thinking as our daughter, Ava, now mind you, she just started kindergarten. So we're kindergarten deep, okay? However, I still am thinking about the foundation and how we can make sure we're making a selection that will set her up for a quality education, right? And so, yes, the quality of education, we were looking at the different options on, okay, should we use the traditional school district here in Las Vegas, or should we look at charter schools, or should we look at magnet schools or private schools? And I looked at all of those different options. Homeschooling was never even in my thought process because I really just never had any exposure to homeschooling. I wasn't homeschooled. I went to the good old Clark County Public School District and I survived, right? And I didn't have anyone I knew who was homeschooled. So that just wasn't even a thought of, oh, we'll do this or this could be an option. However, as I do with just about everything in my life, I prayed about it. I didn't feel peace with the different public school systems that we were zoned for. I just wasn't sure we would get quality care with all that is going on in our country. I wasn't sure about the safety and how they would protect my child and the other children in an emergency situation. I wasn't sure how they would customize. Our daughter Ava seems to pick things up pretty quickly, so I wasn't sure how they would be able to advance and customize her curriculum. So there were a lot of different components that we were thinking about. Also, I think a lot about learning style. Me as an individual, I'm a very visual learner. I learned that I struggled with test taking later in my seasons in med school and things like that because of learning style just wasn't applied. And so I want her to really get these foundational principles earlier. So if she does choose medicine or whatever field she chooses, she'll have the tools that she needs, and her curriculum was customized to her needs and to her learning style. So all of these things were in my mind. We also were thinking about the fact that we have a very non-traditional life, if you will. Obviously, entrepreneurship is a pretty non-traditional path. Our ownership at Inspire Primary Care and just the way that is growing, our She Inspires movements, my speaking opportunities. We are a family of ministry, so God may take us different places for ministry. We hope in the future to be able to do medical missions and travel for that. And so we really also thought about the flexibility and how the traditional attendance would work in a school district. And would we be able to leave for 2 weeks to Africa as a family and do medical missions? And those are things we really envision our family being able to freely do, which again, homeschooling was a blessing. I didn't really know what the answer to this was, like how that could happen, but I knew that I needed to pray about how this could look to really have the lifestyle, the safety, the education, and all of that thing. All of those things. So when we look at the why, those were a lot of the whys that I was praying about, and my husband and I were praying about is, God, what is the right solution for our family? And so here comes homeschool. Okay. We were all set up we were accepted to a charter school. She was also set up to start at our public school. And we just kind of put it out there. In addition to praying, we were talking to different people like, what are your kids doing? Have you heard of any options? And someone introduced me to one of our friends. She owned the business, and I knew that she owned a daycare business, but I didn't know that she also owned a homeschooling co-op business. And I had never heard of homeschooling co-ops. So this transitions into the next thing, is that there are different homeschooling options now. It is not what I imagined, or maybe the type of options that were available back in the day were only like the parents, they're 24/7 doing the homeschooling themselves, and, very limited resources and structure and all the things that I just envisioned, just because, again, I didn't have exposure to homeschooling options. So I had never heard of homeschooling co-ops or micro schools. And so if you've never heard of it, it's basically when a group of homeschooling children are being homeschooled together in a school setting. All right, like a micro school setting. So a friend of mine has that as a business, a homeschool co-op business or a micro school business, where she has a small group of children. Our group happens to be about 10 children they are all considered through the school district homeschooled, because you do have to submit a form to the school district saying we are homeschooling our child, and let them know what type of curriculum you're using. So we did that process. All of the children in the school did that process, and they homeschooled together. There are different age groups and classroom grade levels within the micro school. So we have a few that are in kindergarten, a few that are in first grade. There's a couple that are third or fifth grade, and we really, really love it. And so let me tell you how the co-op works, because I feel like I'm a cheating homeschooler, because I am not, teaching her every day like a traditional homeschool option like I would think of when I think of homeschooling. But their school happens to be Monday through Thursday, and I homeschool on Friday. And really, we spend quality time, reviewing what we're working on. And I like to really do field trip Fridays, where we go in the community and we do educational field trips, and maybe the Children's Museum, or she may be learning some entrepreneurship skills. She may be learning some faith-based skills. And I'll tell you about how we do some supplementary curriculum as well. But the parents in this setting, every homeschool co-op may be different, but in our homeschool co-op, we do have the requirement that each parent has to participate in some form weekly within the classroom. So for example, I go in once a week and I have the joy and privilege of teaching our homeschool group Spanish. We have another dad that teaches our homeschool group. He does PE with them, and they do soccer. And then some of the other moms do like just volunteer within the classroom. And so that's really awesome, right? And so I love that. And then some other things that we're able to supplement. I love that an option with homeschooling is that you can really supplement the curriculum. And if you're not homeschooling, you can also supplement their curriculum, right? But I like that we can really do non-traditional ways of supplementing, like implementing field trips without having to go through lots of process with the school districts, having PE, they have music class, a music instructor comes in. I really love that we've incorporated a faith-based curriculum for our daughters, and most of that is through the children's ministry at our church. However, we continue to implement the faith-based aspects. Me, as their entrepreneurship mother, I also integrate other aspects of the curriculum, like we talk about integrity, we talk about assets, we talk about marketing and how to grow a business. She helps me with putting, different things together for the business, and helps me with marketing and just little things that she can start to be exposed to, regardless if she chooses entrepreneurship or not. These are skills that even in kindergarten, they soak up so much. Even in kindergarten, she can really start to say, okay, I can learn math, I can learn reading, I can learn phonics, but I can also learn how faith is important. I can also learn how leadership is important. We start poetry, and that's her learning poetry and starting to try to memorize and recite poetry. That's what my grandmother started me off doing as a child. That helps her to learn public speaking and communication and how to speak in front of others. Having her pray in front of others really shows her how to implement these leadership skills early. So those are some supplementary things. And then if you're looking at like the traditional curriculum, we use ABECA as a part of the curriculum. It's called ABEKA. So that is the traditional curriculum that's used within the micro school, along with some other tools. So I just wanted to share this. I want to end with some myth busters about homeschooling. I thought, and these are maybe just myths that I had, but I think other people might have these too. I thought when I thought of homeschooling, I thought of this like very socially awkward child who is like sitting around by themselves as a loner. And one myth I would like to bust is that there are different styles of homeschooling. Yes, there is the more traditional, especially middle school, high school. You may have them on a traditional computer-based, more self-guided curriculum, but there are different styles of homeschooling. And I was new to the concept of homeschooling co-ops and micro schools, so I wanted to share it with you guys. It allows you to be a homeschool family, but again, as a busy CEO, professional, working person, I'm not the one that is there all day long, doing the schooling. So, but you can still be a homeschool family and take advantage of some of those pros that we discussed. Another thing is it doesn't mean that they're isolated from the school district. So one thing we were concerned about was, well, what if they want to do sports? Well, what if they want to, if the school district is doing like standardized test taking, can they, get that time and kind of be in a formal environment for that? And the answer to that is yes. Actually, in the school district, when homeschool children opt out and decide to homeschool, the school district is still required to allow those children to try out for all of the school district related sports. And also, if they are doing standardized test taking, you can also bring your children. And if they're doing things like music class, any of the special classes, art class, you can still take your child to those, although we have those built into our co-op. So those are just some other things to know, that it doesn't mean they're socially awkward. We still have, my children are like the least socially awkward children. I'm like, can you have a little more stranger danger? Okay. But yeah, they're very social. Having the micro school environment still gives them all of the social while still having those customizations. And it just is really exciting. And they still have all of the normal things they do outside, like ballet and gymnastics and swim class and all of those things where they have plenty of interaction with children. So I know I thought of homeschooling and thought like, oh, they don't get very much interaction. And that's just not the case. And for us, what I also love is that you can accelerate their learning. It doesn't have to wait on age annually, like in a traditional system. In a traditional system, you have to wait until they're in the first grade or in the second grade. And if their birthday is a certain month and time of the year to go to this grade. With homeschooling, we're able to progress their curriculum as their learning progresses. So some of the kids in our co-op are technically in third grade, but they're working on fifth grade work, or are technically in fifth grade, but they're working on seventh grade work because they've already moved through the curriculum at a pace that we don't have to wait till the next school year to move them up. So I really like that too. And if you have a child where it's the opposite, where you actually need them to have a slower pace for their learning style and their learning pace, then you can then also slow the curriculum down to their needs. So really just customization. Again, this is not an episode trying to convince you to homeschool. Please know that this is a very personal choice. Whatever you choose for your child is a very personal choice. I just knew that I knew nothing about homeschooling, and this opportunity just God just blessed us with that last minute, like right before it was time for her to go to school. This opportunity came to our family, and it really just opened my eyes to a whole new world that I knew nothing about. And so I just wanted to share that. And as I shared that I was homeschooling, so many questions came in, and I was like, oh, the ladies are interested in learning more. So I hope this answers, some questions about what that's looked like for my family. And, us as busy professional women balancing business and wellness, there are so many things to think about, but quality education for our family and just being aware of different type of non-traditional options. I know I am finding that helpful, so I want to share that with you. So if you've enjoyed this episode, please leave a comment. Let us know how you're enjoying the podcast. Join our social media family at Dr. Jade MD on Instagram. That's the main space for our podcast and for all of our behind the scenes there. I'm sharing how I'm balancing business and wellness. If you're in Las Vegas, I would love to care for you at Inspire Primary Care. Team Inspire would love to care for you. You would join us at inspireprimarycare.com. No I in front of Inspire. We take care of individuals and businesses throughout the Las Vegas Valley, providing high quality primary care and medical weight loss services. And please share this episode and the podcast with other busy professional women who are balancing business and wellness and all the things, because this is our safe place to have these type of discussions. I'll see you on the next episode of the She Inspires podcast.